What's going on? A quick video right now. I'm going to give you the top 5 heavyweights currently in the heavyweight division right now. So I'm going to start from 1 to 5. I want to just be clear. Generally speaking, when I do these rankings, I go mostly off of resume and body of work rather than ability and who you would beat in a head-to-head fight. The reason I do that is because I don't think it's fair to make rankings based off of projections. I think you have to prove it in the ring. I don't think you could just say, oh, well, I think this guy would have beat this guy, because if you do that, then you're going to make a lot of mistakes. For example, people thought that Anthony Joshua was going to destroy Andy Ruiz, and he got knocked out by Andy Ruiz. So you don't know what's going to happen. These things aren't certain, and you have to prove it in the ring. So primarily, I'm going off of resume and accomplishments and body of work. If it's close, then I will factor in your skill set and head-to-head ability. So it's just a list. Don't freak out. Number 1, right now in the heavyweight division for me, you got to go Tyson Fury. I think his resume and body of work is the most thorough. He has a WBC belt. He beat Vladimir Klitschko years back when Vladimir Klitschko had the long 9-year run. That's a big win historically for me. Then he did go, out of the sport for a little bit, but he got back, fought Deante Wilder, did, get up in the 12th round after getting dropped. It was a draw. In retrospect, I think that he really won that fight. I think most people think that he really won that fight. So that's kind of like a, borderline win. Whatever, fine. He knocks out Wilder 2 other times and, then got the WBC belt, and then knocks out Dillian Whyte, who was ranked in the top 5 at the time. So that was really impressive. I think he's pretty clearly the number 1 guy right now. But number 2 is Alexander Usyk, the other champion. Now, even though Usyk has 3 titles and Fury only has 1, I rank Fury ahead of Usyk because Fury, he has beaten more high-level guys. With Usyk, he only really beat Chisora and 2 Joshua fights. And Chisora is a guy that Fury beat years ago twice, and that was a younger Chisora. So I don't think he's done enough, but I don't think Fury can say he's undisputed, because he's not, because Usyk's in the mix too. So those are 1 and 2 pretty simply for me, Tyson Fury and Usyk. Those are the champions. I think, it's pretty hard to argue against that. Now it gets interesting. So number 3 is Anthony Joshua for me. And I think it's because he has, outside of those 2, the best resume in the division. He's beaten a lot of good men. Guys like Vladimir Klitschko, Povetkin, Parker, even Ruiz in the rematch. That's a solid win. Pulev, Takam, Brazil, a young Dillian Whyte. He has a pretty good resume where you talk about a lot of very good fighters. He doesn't have any A-level wins. Maybe Klitschko you could say is an A-level win, but even that, it's like debatable because he was 41. But he's got a lot of B-level wins. Povetkin, I think, is a B-level win. Parker's a B-level win. Ruiz, I think, is a B-level win, even considering the fashion that Ruiz came in. And I think he definitely has a good body of work. Number 4 is Deante Wilder. Now, I think that Deante Wilder would knock out Anthony Joshua in a head-to-head fight. So people are like, oh, why do you have Wilder behind Joshua? Because Wilder's body of work isn't as great, and he hasn't proven that he'll knock out Anthony Joshua. So I can't just rank him off my projection. So we get into this one with Wilder. He held the WBC title for a good amount of time, a long time. I know he beat Berman Stavern. He wasn't a great fighter. He was kind of a paper champion, but still he beat him. Defended a bunch of times versus not such great opposition. But he did beat Luis Ortiz twice by knockout. That was impressive. And he did almost beat Deante Wilder did almost beat Tyson Fury in the first fight. He destroyed Dominic Brazil in their fight in the first round. He was ranked in the top 10, 15. And he did almost knock out Fury in this last fight. And to me, that does mean something. Even though he lost, he was very competitive in his loss. And I'm not one of these guys that just says, oh, you lost, so every loss is the same. No, he was competitive in it. And I think that's enough to be number 4 in the division. Now, going forward, I'm not sure what Deontay Wilder has left. We'll have to see. He's got a fight in October versus Robert Helenius. So, the list is subject to change. But as of right now today, I think he should be ranked number 4. So number 5 is interesting. A lot of guys have really, done some stuff, but I don't think anyone's really separated themselves that much from the pack. I'm going to say number 5 is still Andy Ruiz, because Andy Ruiz did knock out Anthony Joshua when Anthony Joshua was undefeated. And he is the most recent heavyweight champion, out of the guys left that weren't in the top 4. So I think him beating Anthony Joshua, and, you know, he has some other decent wins. Charles Martin, he beat the guy he beat before Joshua. And he did just beat Luis Ortiz. I know it's an older Ortiz, but he dropped him 3 times, and he won. I think he should be number 5 on the list. I think he's done enough to say that. I will say this, though, however. Joe Joyce and Joseph Parker are fighting, and I think the winner of that fight, if the winner won that fight in dominant fashion, I may consider putting that person number 5 ahead of Andy Ruiz. So that's my top 5. Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua, Deante Wilder, and Andy Ruiz. Let me know what you guys think about the list, and maybe there's someone else that should be in the top 5 that I'm not talking about. Peace.